buzzwords here. And I hope that we can have this conversation in a way that will actually make it more likely that we can do something useful both in Rio +20, but also here in general, how we can use, for instance, the Green Bridge, and how we can actually make sure we don't just talk pretty, but end up doing stuff that will help the environment. I run something called the Copenhagen Consensus Center, where we ask a very large number of the world's top economists to look at where can you do the most good for many, many different areas. So essentially asking how much do different solutions cost and how much good do they do, in order to think about where do you get the biggest bang for the buck. I think that's an important conversation also to have when we talk about green growth, green economy, green bridge. One of my concerns, for instance, when we think about, for instance, green growth and green economy is, if we look at the reality of what we have seen so far, is that green economy does not pay. If you look, for instance, at Europe, which in many ways has been the spearhead of this conversation, if you look at the primary goal of the European Union in green economy on global warming, it's 2020 policy. It turns out, we've asked a number of economists to look across different topics, it turns out that the cost of this policy is in the order of $250 billion a year, basically in moving towards more expensive production, means of production. Either you have to move to a different kind of production, or you have to use more expensive energy. That's a very expensive proposition. Now, of course, if it actually did deliver, maybe it would be worthwhile considering. But the problem is, if you look at the global warming impact, that is very, very tiny. We're talking about in the order of 0.05 degrees temperature rise, decline in 100 years after we've spent about $20 trillion. That's an incredibly poor way of trying to help global warming. Likewise, a lot of people will say, but it creates green jobs. That is true. We do create green jobs in the areas of the economy that we subsidize. But of course, the problem is we have to pay for those green jobs by taxing other places in the economy, and that actually takes away exactly the same number of jobs elsewhere. So all we manage to do is to transfer jobs. So when people tell you about green jobs, sure, you can subsidize green jobs, but it doesn't create real growth. It simply changes the employment from productive use to subsidized use. And of course, if you want an Keynesian sort of argument to subsidize short-term growth in employment, we also know that you can subsidize jobs much, much better elsewhere. Studies from the US indicate that for $1 million, we will get about 5 green jobs, whereas if we had spent it in healthcare or in infrastructure, we could probably have gotten about 25 jobs instead. So again, let's make sure we do the things that actually work. Now, this just makes it sound a little bit like I'm saying we shouldn't be doing anything at all. I think there are a couple of things that we can take away. One is to recognize if we want to help most of the world, we still have to go back to good old-fashioned growth. Take China, for instance. China did not bring 600 million people out of poverty by going green. Actually, I don't know if you know, but China gets about 1/20th of 1% of its energy from wind, and it gets about 1/2 of 1,000th of 1% of its energy from solar power. It gets virtually all of its energy from fossil fuels, and it has powered its growth by fossil fuels for a very simple reason, because fossil fuels is the most cheaply available source of energy right now. And that is what most people need on this planet. That is the growth. What we can do to change that is to make sure that those technologies that they base themselves on become cheaper. And I think that's exactly where the Green Bridge could actually be a great opportunity. I don't know enough about the Green Bridge, and I'm looking forward to learning more. But fundamentally, the idea of realizing this has to be about technology is crucial. The simple point is, as long as fossil fuels are the cheapest ways to produce energy, it's always going to be incredibly hard to convince most nations to switch to non-fossil fuel. It's as simple as that. You're not going to convince very many to do very much. Even in Europe, we've been speaking a lot about it, but fundamentally what we've done is simply cut a tiny bit and move the rest of our production to China and elsewhere. That's not a green way of growing. It's a way of feeling better about yourselves. So we should focus on technology, because if we can innovate the price of green energy sources down below fossil fuels, we'd be done. Everyone would switch, not because they were forced to, not because we made a brilliant commitment in Rio, but because technology had made that energy cheaper. And so what I would like us to think about is, how do we move forward on that? We actually did a Copenhagen consensus on climate a couple of years ago, where we asked 27 of the world's top climate economists, how do you spend money to do the most good for the world's climate? What they told us was, please don't focus on just cutting carbon emissions. You should cut a little bit, but after just a tiny while, it starts becoming a very expensive way of helping the world. If you do the EU 2020 policies, or likewise, for every dollar you spend, you end up avoiding a couple of cents of climate damage. That's a poor way of helping the world. But they did say two other things. They said, first of all, if you want a short-term solution, and if you want an insurance policy, you should be investing in research and development into geoengineering. Essentially, let's make sure we have a backup plan if everything else fails. That would be an exciting thing to talk about, but it would be a totally different conference, so I'm just going to leave it there, and you can look at more at fixtheclimate.com or CopenhagenConsensus.com. But the second thing they said, and that's the one that's relevant for the Green Bridge, was dramatically increase investment in research and development into green energy technology. Right now, the world spends about $10 billion on research and development into green energy. That's terribly little. And we know that that will have to be the only way that we can get to a future where green energy becomes so cheap everyone will want it. So let's make sure that we spend a lot more. The Nobels, we have 3 Nobels, 5 of the world's top economists, look at what should be the top outcomes, said we should be spending about $100 billion, not $10 billion, on research and development into green energy. Essentially, let's ramp up engineering, innovation into green energy dramatically. Remember, $100 billion is a significant amount of money, but it's still much, much less than what the Kyoto Protocol was supposed to cost, certainly much less than what the EU 2020 policy is going to cost, a lot less than most of the green initiatives that we're talking about. And the beauty of this is that would actually have the opportunity to make sure that in the medium term of the next 24 years, we would be able to find a way to make green energy cheaper than fossil fuels. And then, of course, we have won. Then everything else will flow immediately and unproblematically. So again, the idea here is to say, how much good would that do? Well, the economists did the calculation, and they actually found that for every dollar you spend on research and development into green energy, you will avoid about $11 of climate damage. So instead of spending it in the standard way, in the green economy way, that for every dollar we spend, we avoid a couple of cents of climate damage, we can do 500 times more good and avoid $11. We can do more good with less money, which is a very potent opportunity also for politicians. And at the end of the day, we can actually make a difference. The only reason why this is not the predominant argument in the global field today is because it doesn't feel as good. It doesn't feel like we're doing anything now because we're not putting up a windmill next year. But in reality, this is not about feeling good. This is not about using buzzwords, and it's not about putting up a windmill or a solar panel and feeling good about yourself. It's about putting the world on a path that will ensure that in 20 to 40 years, we we will actually have made a difference. We will actually change the world to a green economy. And I think the Green Bridge can definitely be an opportunity to move that way. So I would just limit my remarks to saying, let's hope that we don't just do the stuff that feels good. Let's hope we don't just follow the path of buzzwords, but that we actually invest in the stuff that will really